Hello, good evening, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the season finale strength of field race for the 2026 Season 1 iRacing Official Porsche Cup by CONSPIT. The series brought to you on the premier sim racing platform available only on PC, known as iRacing, and proudly sponsored by none other than the sim racing hardware provider that is CONSPIT. We're here today then for week 12 of 12, and we're made our way all the way to Australia for the Adelaide Street Circuit. A circuit that has had many guises over its extensive history, but regardless of the guise, it has been at the core of what is a venerable racing circuit for both national and international racing. Whether it be Formula 1 that raced around here many a year ago with the infamous incident between Michael Schumacher and Damon Hill, or in more modern times, the racing of V8 supercars, the Adelaide Street Circuit in South Australia is one that takes no prisoners. With tight walls, high curbs, long straights, and many a tight corner, it is one of those circuits where the walls always loom large, but to be the quickest out there, you've got to get within millimetres of the walls, as otherwise you won't be carrying the pace. But who exactly will do so in tonight's race? That's what we're here to find out as we welcome you to tune into all this racing live today. And the one only place you can catch all the racing action on a weekly basis. And that's been, of course, none other on YouTube and youtube.com. Search for Porsche Productions or PWP, and you can be tuning in there. And if you are tuning in today, don't be shy. Feel free to say hi, and we hope you're doing well, having a great weekend so far. And if you're not having a great weekend, well, let's turn that frown upside down into a big old smile with some absolutely brilliant racing to see us out for the 2026 Season 1 campaign. This strength field broadcast, of course, taken from the 21:45 Greenwich Mean Time, that's GMT, or Universal Coordinate Time, UTC time slot, where we are looking at the top split of that time slot. And that means for our schedule for tonight, times in GMT or UTC, we make it away to the grid in approximately 4 minutes time for our 19-lap feature race finale. In the content booth, you have myself. My name is Paul Walsh, and I'll be guiding in your journey throughout this season finale race. And without further ado, let's bring you up to speed with the story of the season and what exactly happened last time out. And as we can see, taking a look back at our schedule all the way through the season, we have made the way from Miami to Spa to the Nürburgring and all the way to the back end now from the Sebring to the Hockenheimring and the Adelaide Street Circuit today. Today is, of course, the 7th of March, but what exactly happened on the 28th of February in Germany at the Hockenheimring? Well, there we got to see a race of two halves. A rather chaotic opening 4 laps, which saw some rather questionable moments between some drivers. When things calmed down, we got to see an incredible set of battles inside the top 10, including a battle for the win that came down to the final 2 laps, and it was Miguel Costa who took the victory in the end, having taken pole position by 600ths over Adam Kotarski. With so much battling going on behind him, it looks like he might be able to run away with the win. However, Dan Amor was able to chase him down after taking second place over Kotarski in the early stage of the race, and it was all between the two of them, and then Miguel Costa was able to keep Amor behind just about. So Dan Amor was the runner-up, and in third place was Isaac Phelps, the man who started in 7th place, but he made the most of the chaos to move into 4th, took 3rd from Kotarski midway through the race, and then tried to close the gap down to the top 2 right at the end, but didn't have the pace to do so, and he was the best of the rest in 3rd. But who exactly is going to be adding a name to the victors list today? Well, that's what we're here to find out, and we're also here to find out who's going to score some big points in the Division 1 standings, because here are the Division 1 official standings after 11 weeks of racing, and we see that Alex Caron right now leads by an advantage there of almost 80 points over Alan Rask, and then Isaac Phelps is only a further 3 behind. It is incredibly tight between the top 3, and who is going to be the winner of the Division 1 standings at the very end. Of course, these being the iRacing official standings for the Porsche Cup by CONSPIT Open Series. Daniel Perez Sanchez sits a further, 18 points adrift there in 4th place, only 2 ahead of Oscar Bernson. Next, Nikolai Melder ahead of Elias Finoli, with Amor Kikanovic ahead of Yolmar Quad and Aaron Jones, who complete your top 10. But if that's where the standings stand, well, let's come on to where we stand today in terms of our racing circuit. And this, of course, it's in Australia, the Adelaide Street Circuit. 2.01 miles in length for 3.23 kilometres, depending on your preference of units. But what does not change regardless of the units is the number of corners that consisted of this circuit. 14 in total, and with its iconic layouts, of course, Sienna drives her to make the way through a variety of sweeping bends, or a fast exit sequence to turns 1, 2 and 3, into some very sharp 90-degree right-handers at turns 4 and 6, and also some left-handers at turns 5 and 7, before they make the way down the long back stretch, cut up by a corner at turn number 8 there, which will be flat out on low fuel or single file in the races. And then we do, of course, have the hairpin at turn number 9, and then the triple left at turns 10 through to 12, which then leads our drives back to a hairpin at turn number 14 to complete lap and do it all over again. A quick reminder of the rules before we go racing. This is the open setup version of the Porsche Cup by CONSPIT on iRacing, which does mean drivers bring a setup of their choosing to each and every race day session. The grid shall be set via a closed qualifying session, which is currently ongoing and due to wrap up very shortly, after which we will see the race commence via a standing start as a tradition of Porsche Super Cup class racing. Drivers shall receive a drive-through penalty 30 if they accumulate certain more instant points, and should they get to 25, they will be disqualified. But hopefully we don't see that in the season finale. But let's make our way back to circuit side, ladies and gentlemen, and see how they're all getting on with this qualifying session almost said and done. But as we do see here none other Max Angles, where he's currently down in 18th place, rolling his way on through. And in terms of our strength of field for today, well, it is our lowest of this season. It is 2,951. Indeed, a bit of a surprising low one compared to what we've had previously, particularly last round at 5,185. But to be fair, just because we've got a low strength of field doesn't mean we can expect the quality of the racing to be low. But right now, the man who currently is on provisional pole, well, it's understandable there, given he is your highest I-rated driver of almost 10,000 I-rating is Dan Amor, and well, the second highest in I-rating at 5.2 is none other than Justin Hodge. Here you can see him, but he's currently in 9th place here. So Justin does have quite a bit of work to do if he wants to try and finish the runner-up here, but of course it will be on the mind's eye drives on the fact that just because you may have a higher I-rating compared to the driver around you, well, it's not going to guarantee victory or success here at the Adelaide Street Circuit, given how easy it is to make a big mistake, and should you even briefly tap one of those walls, that could be the difference between you being in the clear or you've seen your race in arrears. But as Arnav Singh parks up there, going down towards turn number 4, he's decided his session's done and dusted, and more, ladies and gentlemen, we're less than a minute away from going to the grid. We do have a couple of drivers who have not set laps, including John Morandini and also Martin Grunda, albeit Grunda has completed what is his 2 laps. Meanwhile, we do believe that Morandini, who we see here parked up at the end of the pit lane, has not completed any laps, and therefore it does mean he will not be making any happen, because when we see the clock strike 8 minutes, that's it, it's done and dusted, and we go straight into our race. There's no more time of the essence for these drivers, because they've got to get the job done on the road, and indeed we are almost all set to go. But as Morandini waits up, we also look to Max Angles again. And number 14 driver looking to perhaps move forward from 19th on the grid, but we will see, because without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to make our way to the grid to our final strength field race for this season. And so as our drivers make the way onto the grid, this is how they'll line up for our season finale broadcasted race. It is Dan Amor who takes pole position there for the Apex Racing Academy by almost 6 tenths over Michael Martins. The Austrian driver then followed up on row number 2 by Lewis Burton and Wiley Davies. Then behind the Briton and the American, it's going to be Jackson Resende ahead of none other there than Balas Plezovsky. And then for the Hungarian driver, it will be to Lithuanian there of E. Anulis ahead of Arnav Singh. Then we head from the Antarctican driver to the American of Justin Hodge, and we do see alongside him Peter Frizoy, and then we do have outside the top 10, behind the Norwegian driver in 11th, it is going to be Matt Cook ahead of Pim van Diemen. Van Diemen returns to the grid once again, good to see him out there in the number 6, and he will be ahead of Kieran Smith, the Kiwi, who makes his way on. Indeed, this is perhaps his local circuit on the simulator, you could say, and then we do see Evan Davis joining him on that 7th row of the grid there. Starting in 15th, it's going to be Justin Bolg ahead of Johan Bigerson, and then Bergerson, I should say, and then from the Swede, it's going to the Polish driver there of Bartosz Wojcik ahead of none other than Nicolo Manacero. Round off your top 20, it's going to be Max Angles and Yasmanis Quintana, and then outside the top 20, not to be forgotten about, we will see there none other than what will be Pascal Laurent ahead of Sully Sad, with John Morandini ahead of Martin Grande, and that is going to be your starting order of 24 cars, ladies and gentlemen. But as they sit on the grid, we're waiting for the final cars to get into position. Dan Amor does take his slot on the right at the front of the field, and here come the lights for the final time. So the reds begin to rise. It's 1, it's 2, it's 3, it's 4, it's firing lights. And it's lights out, and we go away for our season finale here at the Adelaide Street Circuit. And Dan Amor gets a good start, but it's elbows out there straight away before they even get towards turn number 1 as Jackson Resende sent wide. But coming through the S sequence here, will 2 wide some go, but they all just about survive it there. Every driver coming through. A few slowdowns being picked up by drivers there for track limits, but everyone is safely through the opening 3 corners. So now into 90-degree right hand as our leader already trying to bolt away. It's Carl sideways into the barrier there. I think that's Jackson Resende being sent even more sideways, so his race is going from good to bad to worse. 3 wide there into turn number 5. They don't normally do that. Contact to the barrier there for one driver, but then they just about survive it. My goodness, you don't want to do that through these corners. And meanwhile, at the front of the field, Wiley Davis has got ahead as meanwhile as Marco Martins going around. Martins had to spin out of turn number 7. Onto the back stretch they go. And that's going to send him all the way to the back of the grid. That is not going to help him whatsoever, as Lewis Burton right now finds himself really acting as the bung in what is the bottle, or the cork of the bottle we should say, as he hits the wall coming out of turn number 8. And that's going to bung him up, no doubt about it, as Balas Pelaskowski makes his way around the outside. Can number 11 try to get it done? The answer is no, as Jackson Vicente outbrakes himself into the hairpin. And with the damage on the car there, I suspect right now that damage has really hurted him. The number 3 driver still fighting there with on-off Singh. Singh, meanwhile, on the outside, going all the way around. And Rosendo just trying to keep it together here, but too wide going through. Turn 12 into 13. You don't normally go too wide through there. That's why he's mounting that curb so aggressively. And right now, just trying to stop the rot. Meanwhile, we do see Pim van Diemen making haste here, battling side by side with none other than what is Peter Frazoy. And well, behind them, we do have the growing pressure of Justin Bog and Nicola Manacero, and going on to lap number 2. But plenty of laps to be cut up here as meanwhile we come back to what is the battle for 5th. This is going to be Hodge versus Aninulis, and more into that brain zone. It is going to be Justin Hodge who gets ahead as Lewis Burton holding off Plazowski as those two continue to swap place around, but Plazowski has picked up a slowdown penalty for track limit coming on through the S sequence. But as these drivers cool and calm down, we look back. Oh, there's contact there. There's car being sent. That's Matt Cook being sent around. Oh, goodness me, up into the air there as well. A double prang there at the same corner where it went almost round the previous lap. And right now for Matt Cook, that is a toe to the pit lane, as it will be for Max Angles as well. And right now, misfortune has struck them, as meanwhile, we're waiting to see if any fortune strikes another driver, perhaps in a more favourable nature. But coming on down the back stretch here, what everyone now does seem to calm down for a brief moment at least. We'll get you some replays of what exactly happened towards the start very shortly. But as we do see a few more brushes of the wall there, indeed everyone's getting very acquainted with the exit board turn number 8. I don't know if that's a good thing, to be fair. And I suspect right now a few drivers will be nursing some damage to the left-hand side of their cars, particularly the front left side around that tyre. And that's not damage you want, particularly that will cause you to struggle with turn in. But as we do see there, Plazowski turn into turn 14, absolutely fine. While leader goes on to lap number 3 off into the distance, but Plazowski does now have Justin Hodge very close with him. And Hodge here, I think, hoping for a move sooner rather than later as we ride on board with him, hopping and skipping his way through turns 1, 2 and 3. My goodness, they're so committed, these drivers. As we look up the inside here, it goes all in on the brakes, immediately leans into the ABS there. And well, that's what you can do now with the ABS. You can really be aggressive at the brake it. And well, Plazowski tucks in behind. No, there's no point fight it right now, because otherwise they'll bring a new list and also Singh right into the equation. Further back, we've got a long line of cars forming behind Anulis right now, a 6th all the way through to none other than what is 19th place, separated by only a grand total of 10 seconds. That's how tight it is, and therefore anyone once more mistaken, you could fall all the way down to the back of the field, let alone just lose 1 or 2 places. Mistakes always cost dear here at Adelaide, but right now they're going to cost you even more. But it shows you how close these drivers are to each other in terms of pace, and why, as we said earlier, just because the strength of the field is low does not necessarily dictate that it's going to be a low quality race. We're coming down towards that hairpin right now, and Johan Birgersson, well, he's going to be trying to find a way on past Kieran Smith, albeit not working at the moment. And I think he's going to have to wait there as John Morandini, well, he started away from the back of the grid, of course, after not setting a representative lap in qualifying. And we'll have started 23rd. He's already up into 16th place, but I think he now wants 15th there off of Johan Birgersson. But can he find a way in towards the hairpin? No, he can't. He's going to wait a little bit longer as they roll off the corner, and we ride on board with your number 16 car. So getting ready for turns 1, 2 and 3. This is not an overtaking opportunity here, but if he can get a good amount of momentum going for the corner, he can carry it all the way up to turn 4. Really good run through there, and well, it's a valid run as well. Look into the inside here, in towards turn 4. And well, will the Swede put up a fight? The answer is partially yes. However, in the end, Morandini does make the move there. Lovely move, and up into 15th now. His next target, Kieran Smith, who does have a slowdown penalty that he's trying to burn. That's where you can see the yellow flag there against his name in the time tower. That does mean slowdown, according to the iRacing automated stewarding system. If they don't serve it within 25 seconds of being awarded, it will be upgraded into a black flag, which is a stop and hold penalty. But Lewis Burton here in 3rd place at the moment. He's still having to hold off Justin Hodge, while the top 2 pulling away. Dan Amor and Wiley Davies lead this race as they get ready to end lap number 4 shortly. But we can see here right now Lewis Burton really struggling to hold on to the final spot of the podium, with Justin Hodge constantly knocking on his door. But as they continue to battle, well, meanwhile we take a look back at the race start. It was definitely full of battling action, ladies and gentlemen, and here we go over replay. This is right towards the beginning then, and watch out for Jackson Resende in the number 3. You will see him get elbowed out quite early to the right of your picture, but what exactly sent him on that direction? And well, in the end, it was the fact he had a good start there, but was covered off immediately by Lewis Burton. So that explains that Jackson Resende in the end, trying to go around the outside, could not quite find it, and that explains his story incompleteness. But as they all made their way through the SS sequence, well, everyone absolutely there avoiding any trouble. Lovely to see, but some trouble did find some drivers a bit further down the order, including what happened to Michael Martins right at the start, and this was a bit of drama for him. So Martins made his way through turn number 6 in towards 7 as he came in towards the final right angle corner, carried a bit too much speed. Oh, a brush with the wall there on the outside, but thankfully able to get away with that, but not with the contact to the inside wall when the car finally came to a stop. And then we did have this for Matt Cook. This was Cook on lap number 2 in the corners, of the right angle corners, where on lap number 1 he found himself almost into the barrier, and the second time round it was a diagonal 3 wide, tapped slightly there by the car. We couldn't quite discern which one it was. I think it was Max Angles he came into contact with, and that's what sent Cook up into the air there and saw his race all in pieces. And for Max Angles, well, this was Angles coming in towards the corner, so he was the one in contact with Cook. I think he might have been aided there by the Ruffins livery machine. A few contacts, and well, they made his way in towards turn number 6 and went straight on there. I believe he had a black flag. I think that was for the contacts. It was essentially a drive-through penalty that come his way, and therefore he decided to retire the car to the pit lane due to that, and also the fact he might have had some damage to the car as a result of those taps. So I think it all added up there, unfortunately for Angles, and a very unfortunate moment, much like for Cook. But back to your live pictures we come on lap number 6. We can see here Burton and Hodge still together. But right now Hodge holding, well in fact Justin Hodge has found his way past Lewis Burton since he last left them. So therefore there's been a change of foot. And let's give you a quick look back at what exactly happened there. So this was on lap number 5, going down towards the turn 14 hairpin, and it would seem as though Justin Hodge here had all the momentum, but in the end it was Burton out, broke himself there into the final corner, and Justin Hodge making that look straightforward. But back to live pictures we come, and this time we will stay with them for a period of time, as we have had an incident for Johan Birgersson. Further down, he's dropped all the way down to 19th place and picked up sizable damage. We'll get you a replay of that later. Oh, there goes a bonnet coming flying off the car there of Martin Grander. And, well, Yasmanis Quintana takes that place off there, and with the aerodynamic drag that number 17 is going to be experiencing, I wouldn't be surprised here if Grander is going to fall all the way down the order, as that's going to be Pascal Laurent up the around the outside. So Grander right now losing out, as Laurent just simply needs to cruise on past there and doesn't have to put too much effort into making that move happen. But from then back to your leader, he's already storming away the Apex Racing Academy driver, Adana Moore. He's already 7 seconds clear of Wiley Davis. And Davis right now, oh my goodness, the car coming loose there. Oh, keeping it together, coming through turns 2 and 3. I thought that was going to the barrier. So easy to get wrong, but Wiley Davis in the end, and number 10 pushing hard, but perhaps pushing a little bit too hard now. And there's always a rescue throwing this away. Remember, we're only a third of the way through this race. Justin Hodge sitting in third, then breaking away from Lewis Burton after making that pass him only moments ago. And right now, his target will be Wiley Davis, who on the last lap, he was 3.5 tenths quicker than. Well, mathematically, that means he should be with him in the next 8 laps or so. But as they continue to give chase to one another, we do see Arnav Singh there. Well, find himself still battling here with Plazowski and Inulius. And we're coming down the back stretch right now. We can see there it's going to be Inulius making a move. But Plazowski tries to come back at him. Not going to work for now. The all-yellow machine has to stay behind. Into the brakes over the hairpin and onto those anchors. And it is going to be Plazowski in the end trying to go all the way around the outside. And it's not going to work. To be right on board with your number 11 driver. Well, he's definitely been firm but fair so far, but can he prove himself to be formidable as well? Perhaps not as easy, as we do see a graze the wall there for Manulis, and coming up towards now turn number 14. Well, Plazowski here knows he can keep the pressure on. He might be able to beat the police livery machine, but it's going to be easier said than done as they come on to the next lap. Fastest lap race, a 17.15, an absolutely staggering lap from Dan Amor, given the fact that he is currently 7 tenths quicker than anybody else out there. He's absolutely flying, as we do say hello. Well, in fact, flying there as well for Plazowski, but in a different kind. Oh, and he grazes the wall there, and the understeer carries him out of turn number 3. And Plazowski right now, he can't afford to lose a single mile now, but every little mistake, it's all going to add up here. And what we were about to say before we did see Plazowski take flight, and he takes flight again down to 2 wheels going through turn number 5, is a hello there to Fabian HD and also RP Corp in the YouTube chat. And we're glad to have you both tuning in with us tonight, and I hope you're both doing well. But as we see Plazowski now start to fall back a little bit, we leave is on board for now. And we look a little bit further back to none other than Justin Volk, who's just made his way on past Nicolo Manacero, who has lost out through the right angle corners. And I suspect that a small mistake has cost him dear, as now Kieran Smith is going to be all on the back of the man, sitting in 11th place. Smith there disappears and rematerialises from the ether, and they do have John Morandini also closing in. So this could get quite interesting for 11th, and perhaps we might even see a fight for 10th and 9th start to develop later on in the race, but we are about to cross the halfway threshold. As we get ready to do so, we've had a couple more incidents we need to take a look back at, including a big month for none other than Johan Birgersson. This happened on lap number 6. So this was Birgersson at the time chasing after Morandini, coming in towards turn number 5. went through the corner, missed the apex curb, and lost the rear of the car. He tried to get the power down, and it ricocheted off the wall. Oh, no! And in the end, that explains why we did see the bonnet come flying off of there, of none other than what was Michael Martins, and, well, no, Martin Grand, I should say, and that's why Grand has had to go into the pit lane for repair work, and then we had this the lap later for Peter Frelzoy, as he made his way in towards turn number 5. This corner really catch out so many drives today, and for the Norwegian driver, a very similar incident. In fact, got the power down too soon, and the car let go. But we must let go of replays and come back to live racing, because we have got 2-3 wide here, and this is going to be Kieran Smith versus Nicola Manacero. We thought this move was coming at some point, but right now, will it be Smith or Manacero who takes it? 2 wide into 8 they go, and both drives there are so close to each other. My goodness, neither drive back it out there, but somebody had to, and one to break it. It's going to be 3 wide. There's be Kieran Smith all the way on the inside, goes all in. Manacero on the outside there, gets elbowed out there. No wonder, well, Morandini and then tries to get involved as well. In fact, it was Morandini who got elbowed out, not Manacero. Manacero in the Rexy livery machine right now, trying to balance the act of keeping both drives between each other, and will find himself in the middle there. That's a rock and a hard place if I've ever seen one in the number 13 car, and Manacero there doing just about right. But what a brilliant fight between those three, and right now Morandini is going to try and come back at him once again here, going down the start-finish straight. In fact, he started all the way down 23rd place. He's definitely got the pace here and the guts to push forward, but can he make the magic happen? That is the challenge that is confronting him. But what a fight, and well, I think that is just the precursor to even more to come as we ride on board, looking down over the top of your number 16 in towards turn number 4 he comes, and the answer is right now that it's going to be no way really in these 90-degree corners, at least at this time. He's going to be patient just for a brief moment, but you can imagine going onto the back stretch, if he sees an opportunity with a slipstream, he is going to be absolutely 100% full tilt going for it. But through the right-hander of 70 goes a little bit wide there from Morandini, but not grazing the wall, so he's able to get away with it. And in the draft here, the gap to Manacero is going to be only 2/10. The inches closer and closer. Go for return of 8, losing a bit of pace there, deciding to back off. Now in the double draft is causing the car to understeer. Under braking into the turn 9 hairpin, it's not going to be a move, but he will announce himself to the 13. He'll ride so close to the rear bump, and he can't be ignored. Meanwhile, Kieran Smith is given a little bit of an opportunity just to breathe some fresh air in front as they roll out through the triple left-hander at turns 10, 11 and 12. And now get ready to end this lap. Into the next hairpin, we can see that these drivers right now closing up to Justin Bolg, and Bolg not in a happy place. In fact, there is Bolg, so that is not a lead lap car between them. My apologies. I believe that might be the car of Evan Davies. That's there. Oh, no, it's not Evan Davies either. It might be the car of none other than what could be Angles, to be fair. It would be Max Angles there, based on position. Also, now that I recollect the livery on the car, we're looking at Peter Frelzoy in the meantime, and we're currently in 18th place here. He does have Solisard trying to close up. But looking at from the back to the front, Dana Moss still ahead. Gap now 14 seconds over Wiley Davis. And Wiley Davis right now ahead of Justin Hodge by only 8 tenths here. And well, looking for the number 2 driver as if this gap is coming down very nicely. And he's soon going to be on the attack. We predicted it was going to be within 10 laps. And right now it's definitely been 6 laps since they started closing up on each other. And Justin Hodge here has a chance to take the run-up spot. But he's got to be patient with this, because Wiley Davis right now is definitely going to be a bit of a shrewd character here, and if he does see that pressure's building, he'll start to go defensive. And Lewis Burton 3.5 seconds back, who you see there, bringing on a Singh behind. Well, it wouldn't take much fighting to suddenly have 2nd through to 5th all together in a single space on the circuit, rather than 2 packs of 2 currently. And then we do have Anudis and also Plazowski only 2 seconds behind, so we could suddenly see what would be 6 cars all together right at the end, but not if Wiley Davis here finds himself being passed by Justin Hodge, coming out 3 to 4, and Hodge gets it done immediately, coming all the way out there in a poor run for the opening 3 quarters, and Justin Hodge did not need to be given an excuse to get that done. Meanwhile, change of place here, that is going to be Pim Van Diemen around the outside of Jackson Resende to move into 8th place. So the man who did lose out right at the start, trying to make eager moves, but he's not over yet, and then it's going to be Van Diemen going deep at 6. So swap the places back. Resende back on the charge here, and looking back from the rear of his car right now, the number 3 driver trying to keep it together as Pim Van Diemen definitely close. Oh, Resende goes sideways out of turn 7, grazes the exit wall, and just about survives it. Well, that's going to enable Van Diemen to get back ahead. You can see that Justin Bolg catching up quite quickly, and now the 3 all together here. Bolg in a second of them, but Van Diemen and Resende coming down towards the hairpin. Here comes Van Diemen looking to the inside, and onto the brakes they go. And going through, it's going to be very gradual here, but the number 6 will take the place back for now. But suddenly Justin Bolg sees 3 tenths slashed out that gap. He's to be right on the hunt here for that 8th place. Resende takes the grass. Car goes sideways, ends towards turn number 10. He gets it turned back and around in time. He just about about grazes the exit wall there. It's not going to cost him too much, but Sainz going to lead to a change of places. He'll drop all the way down to 12th place for that indiscretion, and Morandini's going to make that 13th place in as he squeezes on the inside of turn 13, albeit is he going to lose out now into the hairpin, and you can see Rosendo here is going to fight it around the outside. He's going to run out of road, and Sonny he has confirmed that Jackson Rosendo drops all the way down to 13th. What a tragic lap for him, and the number 3 driver now needs to find a way to get back forward. But looking forward to the leader, that gap with Danamore, his fastest at a 17.26. Justin Hodge here still has Wiley Davis close. 1 second gap between these two, and Davis has a chance in the slipstream here to close up a little bit more. Lewis Burton, meanwhile, he's then bringing the rest of the field on through as they come down the back straight. That's 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th, all in a single camera shot there. Burton, Singh and Lewis and Pledzowski. And it's the first 5 seconds back to none other than Van Diemen ahead of Bolk, who you saw briefly in the rear of the picture there, and you may see again very shortly in the back of the camera cut out. But as they come down to the brakes, right now no change between these drivers. Meanwhile, Jackson Rosende looking to go on a recovery drive now. With only a third of this race to go, can he find a way to recover here coming through turn 8 in towards 9? And the answer is going to be yes. He's going to dive very late. He leaves it literally to the last possible moment. Bit of smoke being kicked up there. I think that's from a car that has spun earlier on. We'll try and understand. I think Justin Bolg is actually towed to the pit, so there's a replay there to be found. And Mil Jackson Rosende does get that move done, and John Morandini moving up into 11th place. It's a 2 places gained as a result of the tow to pits for Bolg, and we'll get a replay very shortly to explain what's happened there. But as we do, well, in fact, here's the replay of Justin Bolg having things go wrong. What exactly did go wrong? Oh, a big hit to the wall there coming out to turn number 8, and that explains immediately you don't need any more answers there at that speed. Oh my good lord, and in the rear of the picture as well, that was the car of none other, I believe, Manacero into the barrier, and somehow his car able to stay together. We did not see that initially, but that explains it. But then for Jackson Rosendo coming in towards turn number 10, while carrying so much speed, and in the end in towards 11, he was able to make that progress, and well, now has got even more to do. But for Justin Bolg, his race in tatters, as we do say hello to none other than Jemand Nimand. And well, good evening to you, good sir. I'm glad to hear you're enjoying the race thus far. But we've still got more to enjoy here, as here comes Morandini back versus Rosende. These two absolutely back and forth right now. They are completely unsettled. And on lap 15 of 19, they've got 4 more to go after this one. And Morandini moves into 11th there for now, but I wonder if there's going to be a bit more change later. Meanwhile, further back, we see a change of places. That is going to be Michael Martins ahead now of Pascal Laurent. And Martins, the man who started in 2nd place, dropping all the way down after that early incident coming out to turn number 7 on the first lap. Well, right now, the Red Bull Porsche, knowing this is going to be a race of damage limitation, nothing more and nothing less. But from there, we come back to Lewis Burton for now, as he has Arnav Singh close, but they have dropped Plezovsky and also Aninulis, so it has opened up the field a little bit more between these drivers, albeit I think right now Singh will be grateful for that, as he just has a bit more breathing room here to go back on the attack, but Plezovsky and Aninulis having a bit of a slower lap by comparison. We've got a bit of change going on here. 2 wide going on between Morandini and Rosende. These two continue to fight each other. Van Diemen's picked up a slowdown off camera. And Morandini right now holding the inside there. A turn at number 5 in towards 6. And your number 16 driver here absolutely doing everything right as he rolls off. But Rosende, of course, the car that's definitely bruised. It's not broken, but the number 3 definitely feeling quite a bit of pain. And once they jump their way out to turn number 7, we look back for the rear of your number 16 car once more. With a gap this time, 3.5 tenths. Can Rosende find a way to go long distance on the attack as they brush the walls there in towards turn number 8? My goodness, and well, so close to those walls every time. And well, the paintwork definitely being left behind there as Rosende so late on the brakes. He's got so much confidence under braking compared to Morandini. He really is a different postcode there. He can brake a lot lighter and later, can Jackson Rosende, and that is why he's able to get so close constantly, even the car that's definitely got a few wounds on it, in the fact that he's able to brake about 15 meters later, not minutes later. Goodness me, that'd be a long time dilation. We can see Rosende right now with that braking ability is looking threatening. Threats right now also coming, as we do have a little bit of fighting between Plazowski and none other than Aninulis, which we'll come back to shortly. But here still we stay with Morandini and Rosende as they get ready for turn number 4. Is there going to be a change this time around? The answer is no. But back to Plazowski and Aninulis battle. as they come out to the 90-degree right of turn number 7, just in front, there's Burton and Singh. They're still as they were, 3/10 separating them, but they're coming down as a result of the slipstream. And we do see Pim Van Diemen behind, who, having picked up a couple of slowdowns, has lost the opportunity to be in this fight. But meanwhile, that's going to be Singh versus Burton. Singh trying to go around the outside of the hairpin. That's not going to work, but he goes to the switchback instead. Burton outbreaks himself there. Through 10 into 11 they go. And Lewis Burton right now having to make himself nice and wide on the left-hander of 11. He could do that, given the fact there's only really a one-wide corner in terms of the racing line. But you can understand right now that Arnav Singh is getting into the head of his rival, and that's why you're seeing Burton having to go defensive again into the turn 14 hairpin. He's now worried about what else is to come, and on to the start-finish straight they go. 3 laps remaining, and we do look back from the rear of your 4th place runner, Lewis Burton, who lost 3rd place to Wiley Davis a bit earlier on. But right now, Arnav Singh trying to make sure he loses 4th and drops to the back end of the top 5. But is he close enough here to look for the move? He's going to go for it. That's a long lunge in towards the right-hander, and Indian Singh made to go up into the curb there. He knew that if he made contact with Burton, it would be on him. He tries it again into turn 5. Arnav Singh right now getting very cheeky. He's getting very daring with these moves. He's poking and prodding, but knowing every time he gets that little bit closer, what's going to happen is he's going to risk making contact. And should he do so, well, in most situations, you would imagine there, as much as you'd like to say that Burton turned in on him, when you're coming from that far back and you don't have an overlap over braking, it does normally mean one thing only, which is you tried to send it, it's gone wrong, and therefore you're going to have the little book of stewarding thrown at you. We're coming down towards turn number 9 into the hairpin. Well, he's not going to be able to send it from there, but he does ride the rear bumper of Burton, and he's doing everything right now to annoy Lewis, but the number 7 driver, to be fair to him, is holding on, as that's a big send into turn 11, and in they do touch, but Arnav Singh saw the door was open and said, right, I'm going to do it this time. I've been building up to this. And for Arnav Singh, to be fair, well, he went for a few sends earlier on that perhaps did not work as intended, but number 4 driver that time, albeit it was very much on the borderline of a push to pass in some respects, but Lewis Burton in the end, he left the door open, and Arnav Singh, he was able to absolutely deliver it, and fair play to him. What a move in that number 4, and let's get a quick replay of that. So this was the on-board of Arnav Singh as he made his way out of turn number 9 here. What you'll notice is how close he is coming through 10, and we're into the quarter here. Burton went actually quite early on the brake set and Singh threw the car to the apex. Literally, that would have been a foot to the floor on the brake, and well, he managed to get it stopped just in time, and Burton had to be a little bit compliant there once he saw Singh dive. He could have perhaps turned in, but it would have been catastrophic if he'd done so. But Arnav Singh, they're getting very well coming out of turn number 7 that time around. Car bouncing around all over the shop, but getting ready now towards turn number 9. The gap half a second to Burton. He might just be able to stay clear here and not have to worry about a battle under braking. We can see that the fighters definitely brought this field together as Burton looks up the inside there, but too far back to try and redo what's done to him. But meanwhile, at the front of the field, Dana Moore goes on to the final lap of racing, and with a gap right now of 17 seconds, he's looking absolutely unstoppable. The only dry lapping in the 17s currently, as everyone else is in the 18s or higher. Justin Hodge running second, goes on to his own final lap in the number 2, and well, he's definitely right now second best out here today, not just because his iRating said so, or his door number, but also because his pace says so, and he has put together an absolutely brilliant drive. The fight for third, Wiley Davis here. There you can see him. He is clear of Arnav Singh. We're seeing right now him got ahead of Lewis Burton and gapping him, but they both picked up slowdown penalties here coming through the S's sequence, and with only 1.3 seconds to Anulius, well, would you imagine here that this driver could get involved as well, as meanwhile, further back, Pezovsky ahead of Pim Van Diemen, and Van Diemen's coming back in right at the end of this race. Can the Dutchman find a way to move into the 6th place? Could he even steal a top 5 here, as Lewis Burton right now is falling right back into the clutch to the number 8. This is getting very contentious between these drivers, and well, it's all going to come down to a couple of heavy braking zones. A big slide there from Van Diemen, that might stop him having the momentum, but we have to leave these drivers behind, ladies and gentlemen, because as he makes way into the final quarter for Dana Moore today, it was pole position by a comfortable margin, and in the end he's going to translate it into a very comfortable win, as Dana Moore for Apex Racing Academy takes your final win of the season for the Strength Field Racing the 2026 Season 1 campaign of the iRacing Porsche Cup by CONSPIT. Meanwhile, second place is going to come to this man and the Patagonia liveried machine of Justin Hodge. Well, what a drive it's been for him from 9th to 2nd. No hesitation. He's got the job done. And then 5 seconds back, Wiley Davis will complete the podium there with a brilliant effort from 4th to 3rd in the number 10, head of Arnav Singh, who in the end fought hard. You can see how happy he is. This means so much to him with some daring moves that he takes 4th ahead of Lewis Burton, who finishes 5th. ahead of Aninulis, and then it will be Balaz Plezowski taking home 7th place there ahead of Pim van Diemen. The Dutchman not quite able to move further inside the top 10 than that. Kieran Smith holds on to 9th ahead of Nicolo Manacero, and well, then it will be Jackson Resende best the rest of the length ahead of John Morandini, who started 23rd and finished 12th. Could have had a top 10, but it didn't work out for him. Bartosz Wojcik finishes in 13th ahead of Michael Martins, and then Yasmanis Quintana rounds off your top 15 ahead of Pascal Laurent, who comes across the line, and it will then be your last finish of this race, ladies and gentlemen, none other than Solisard, who after a difficult start to the race brings it on home. Started 22nd, it will be 17th for him, and they will all be your lead lap finishers. We also did have a 3-lap down finish for none other than Martin Grander, and also we did have a lap down finishing in for Peter Frelzoy, and as we do see Grander coming across line there, 3 laps down, and we're very happy to see that he's finished the race. It's always good to see a driver finish it no matter what happens, as he does have a bit of an elbow there with Pascal Laurent, although I don't think that was by design, but as all drivers do, cool them down and just acknowledge they're parked up at the start-finish line. Let's take a look at those race results, subject to any stewards' inquiries. And here we can see, after an absolutely intense 19 laps of racing for Week 12's Strength Field race in the 2026 Season 1 iRacing Official Porsche Cup by CONSPIT campaign, it was Dan Amor who took pole position for Apex Racing Academy and absolutely controlled the race over the entire distance. The Briton, 17.7 seconds ahead of Justin Hodge, who really was the best of the rest when you consider the pace of the field, and Wiley Davis completed the podium there. 2 Americans on the podium just behind the Briton, and then we did see none other than Arnav Singh, 4th place there, the Antarctican driver, 2 seconds ahead of Lewis Burton. But what a battle he had to go through, going from 8th to 4th, and every time he had to really go for the dive. Lewis Burton, he was shuttled down the order, a little bit of damage to the car early on, not helping him, but the British driver really put on a great defensive display, and it was none other than Aninulis, who finished in 6th there, and Lithuanian driver just ahead of Balaz Plezowski at the line, with the Hungarian driver they're not quite able to take 6th place back, but he enjoyed himself, no doubt about it. Pim van Diemen, he definitely was a bit of a speed demon in the early stages, but with a car that was more sideways than straight towards the end due to tyre life commitment, well, the Dutchman there could only achieve 8th ahead of Kieran Smith, who finished in 9th place. He enjoyed a brilliant battle with Nicolo Manacero, and also none other than John Morandini, and he was the one who came out on top of the trio. Nicolo Manacero, meanwhile, finished in the second of that trio, taking 10th place there overall, and the Italian driver will be happy with the top 10 finish, and he was just ahead of Jackson Resende, and you've got to understand for number 3 driver from Brazil, and the fact there was a race with the damage he picked up on the opening laps, it was always going to be a difficult race, but he did put on some absolutely brilliant battling. Then we saw John Morandini take 12th, the American driver who started from the back of the field but couldn't quite get back into the top 10 at the end, but he was ahead of Bartosz Wojcik, who finished 13th. There was Michael Martins and Yasmanis Quintana, who completed your top 15. Behind the American driver, it's none other than what was Pascal Laurent in 16th, ahead of Solisard. And then we did see a lap down there, Peter Frelzoy, the Norwegian driver, ahead of his fellow countryman Martin Grander, who completed the race a further 3 laps adrift. And then we did see there in none other than 20th place, Justin Bolg, round off your top 20 with his retirement. And there was also retirement for none other than Max Angles, Johan Bergerson, and also Evan Davis and Matt Cook. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our racing here today. And a huge congratulations once again to our top 3 finishers, our podium finishers. First and foremost, our winner of Dana Moore, Justin Hodge, the runner-up, and Wiley Davis, who rounded off the top 3. And as we do wrap up here in Adelaide, well, it's just time, of course, for us to give you a quick word about the title sponsor of this series, and that is none other than CONSPIT. If you are looking to take your sim racing to the next level, then why not consider CONSPIT? As the pro driver's choice of sim racing hardware, CONSPIT offers one of the most comprehensive lines of hardware products to sim racers around the world. Whether you're in the market for wheelbases, steering wheels, pedals, peripherals, or rigs, CONSPIT's extensive experience in the motorsport industry means every one of their products is fine-tuned for success at the highest level. But do not just take our word for it. We're brand ambassadors including 2022 Grand Prix Macau GT Cup champion Luo Kaliu, 2022 Porsche Carrera Cup Asia champion Liu Ye, 2022 Chinese Touring Car Championship champion Rodolfo Avila, and 2023 GT World Challenge Asia GT3 AM Cup champions Climax Racing. You shall be in pole position for victory when you invest in CONSPIT's hardware. If you'd like to know more, be sure to head to conspit.com today. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our broadcast of the Strength Field Series for the 2026 Season 1 campaign of the iRacing Official Porsche Cup by CONSPIT. It's been an absolute blast, and we look forward to seeing you all on the grid for Season 2. However, I must at this point say thank you very much for supporting the Strength Field Race broadcast, for that is going to be the end of them, at least for now, as presented by myself and indeed here at Porsche Productions. Being 100% honest with you, it's not because I don't want to continue. I've absolutely loved bringing you these broadcasts all the way since the 2025 Season 3 campaign. However, due to the motorsport season in the United Kingdom now getting underway and my real-life commentary commitments also starting to build up on weekends, I'm no longer going to be available on weekends to be able to bring you these broadcasts on a regular basis. And as much as I would perhaps bring you one or two every so often, I don't think it would be fair to the series to only bring you sporadic broadcasts. So therefore, they're going to be put on pause by myself for now. However, I'll hopefully be back at some point further into the future and I'll be able to continue the story, perhaps in Season 4. I can't promise anything, but you never know, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be back when I can be back, because I can tell you one thing, I do not walk away happy about this. I walk away bittersweet 9, that whilst I'm going on to do something I absolutely enjoy, I'm also going to miss doing something I absolutely enjoy as well, and I've loved every moment of bringing you these broadcasts. A huge thank you to you all, the community, indeed all of you tuning in on a weekly basis for supporting these broadcasts. You are the ones who have truly made these special. But that does mean we bring the curtain down for now. It has been a blast. We'll see you all on the grid for Season 2 and see you out of the circuit. You never know, I may even join you out of the circuit when I do have some free time. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, we have been the iRacing Official Porsche Cup by CONSPIT. This has been the conclusion of the 2026 Season 1 Strength Field Race broadcast campaign. And I have been your host and commentator, Paul Walsh. And until next time, remember to stay safe, stay well, stay smiling, have a great rest of your weekend. And most importantly, remember to stay on track. Good night.